Hey guys, it's time for Small Tools Episode 2. Yeah, these are pretty small. These teeny tiny little baby pliers are called ignition pliers. I've got 4 flavors of them here. They measure between 4.5 to 5 inches or so in length. They call them ignition pliers because back in the day when cars had actual distributors, and even back before that, when they had points in those distributors, you had to adjust those points, and you needed tiny pliers and wrenches to do so. There's 2 different variations of these. There's the slip joint style and the Channellock style. The first one we'll look at here is this vintage Craftsman, which is the slip joint style. So it has these 3 holes which allow you to adjust the jaw opening to 3 different sizes. This means when you're using it to grab a nut, you can grab it on the flats for a better grip. If you tried something like needle nose pliers, it might grab on one flat, but the other jaw is going to be grabbing on a corner, which could cause the corner to round off or the jaws to slip. I have a second, more modern version of the Craftsman. This one has the black rubber grips, but unfortunately these are discontinued. However, you can still get these. The OEM for these was Wilde tool, and they're not too expensive. The second variation is the Channellock style, and well, they're made by Channellock. They use a set of grooves instead of the 3 holes to adjust the size. Both styles have the same functionality, so it comes down to personal preference as to what style you want. These are also still currently available, and they're also not too expensive. I'll also add that the Wilde versions have slightly longer handles. I prefer the slightly longer handle. It just feels like you get a better grip with them. It's only an extra ½ inch or so in length, but it does seem to make a pretty big difference. The maximum jaw opening on both of these is about a ½ inch. Not much difference there. Because the Wilde version uses a nut instead of a rivet, the head ends up being a tiny bit thicker in side profile than the Channellock, but again, not by that much. Now on my Channellock one, they did a pretty bad job grinding the tip. The jaws just don't quite line up. The Wilde versions have a little more play in the jaws, but at least they're ground properly and line up. The 4th specimen that I have is from Monster Tool. They're a defunct tool truck brand. I think they went out of business after they got sued by Monster Energy Drink. I grabbed this initially because I assumed that they were made by Channellock, but there's some slight variations in the forging and the rivet design is different. There's not much use nowadays for these as ignition pliers, but I do like using mine for electronics work. I've used them to hold down standoffs when installing them on circuit boards. They're also great for working on old stereo equipment, any place where you have small nuts and can't fit a socket. These are the 4 units that I have. If you search for ignition pliers on Amazon, you can see some others. You can get the Wilde or the Channellock there. The Tecton one is a rebranded Wilde. Do not get the Crescent one, it has some pretty bad reviews. The Proto is also a rebranded Wilde. The Xcelite used to be a rebranded Wilde, but since they got bought out by Apex, I have no idea what you're going to get. Strap-On has one with the Channellock style grooves, but a slightly different handle, so I assume they make this on their own. If you want something a little more fancy, there's the Knipex Pliers wrench, but that's something else for a future video. So let me know what other uses you guys have for these. I know a lot of people are building those little pocket EDC toolkits or whatever nowadays. Maybe this is something you could throw in there. I don't know. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos. See you later. Bye.